And this is a review of the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Netflix series Decepticon Megatron. So, who else is hyped about the new cartoon coming in like, what is it today, Sunday, in like 5 days? So I'm really hyped to see what they came up with. Especially since if you look at the character models, they're just replicas of the toys, which are really nice. I actually saw the 3-0 Deluxe Megatron figure, and the sculpt and proportions is exactly this figure, which is nice. So yeah, I'm really hyped, and I'm really keen on start watching this show. So, tell you the truth, I actually finished a whole video on this guy, but towards the end I realized you know how much I favored this guy over this guy. Probably changed through the course of the review, and I thought, hey, that video doesn't reflect what I'm feeling about the figure, so I thought I'd scrap that entire video and start fresh. So in truth, until I was writing that review, this is my favorite version of this Megatron mold. But towards the end, you know, my liking for this figure grew. So I like this figure now a lot more than this, and I'll let you know why. So yeah, let's just move these refractors to the back so we can have a good look at the box. So the box is your standard Netflix box, nothing too fancy. So Decepticon Megatron, nice artwork of Megatron to the side. It does say Netflix at the top. At the back, figure and robot and vehicle mode, and he does come with Pinpointer and Lionizer in their captive colors. And on this side is the nice siege artwork in Netflix colors. The one thing I'd like to say, so I bought this at my local Kmart. And while I did watch Chefatron's review a couple of days ago, so I'm from Manila as well, though I migrated to Melbourne just a few years ago. He did mention he bought the Megatron at close to leader class price point. Here we're pretty lucky. We got Megatron and this guy, Hot Link. We got them in Voyager class prices. So I was telling my wife, we got this for $50, and normally you get each of these at like $10 price point. So pretty lucky that we got Megatron for just 50 Australian dollars. It's still more expensive than in other countries, I mean in terms of Voyager class price point, but for the price here and compared to the price of regular Voyagers here, we got this guy at a really nice price point. So first of all, I think better let's look at the weapons. So I was thinking of posing Megatron with these weapons on him, but now he already has a massive gun, and that puny gun makes no sense. I'll just remove this refractor guy. And then he already has that massive sword as well. So yeah, no point putting the sword on him as well. So I know this guy is let's start Pinpointer. I know this guy is actually a mold reuse. Unfortunately, I don't have the original versions of these molds, but let's take him as a standalone. I do have Rang, so I can compare it with Rang, and then these guys that came with Hot Link, so I'll compare that later. But looking at him in gun mode, it makes for a pretty convincing gun. Not gonna lie, he still does look like a guy that's folded up in an awkward position. But if you've had G1 Target Masters when you were younger, you'd you'd see it's the same thing. All the target masters are folded up, little guys anyway. So yeah, lots of molded detail. And he did come with these two, I don't know what these are, pomelo colored blast effects that just plug into the front. So yeah, and let me just transform this quickly. So even the transformations are pretty similar. You just fold them together in. So this one is just folded in the opposite awkward position. So yeah, I mean, nothing too special. So let me just transform this guy to robot mode. Just unpeg the arms, so the arms just peg there. So those pegs on the arms peg on the slots on the leg there. And you just unpeg and straighten that out. And then fold the gun to the back. So that's Pinpointer in his robot mode. Nothing special, but you know, it does what it wants to do. So just, you can also peg that gun there, and he can actually use that as his own personal guns as well. Yep, so that's Pinpointer. And from this point forward, heavy. From this, let's remove that for now. From this point forward, this guy will be coming with his target master partner crosshairs. Okay, so let's take a look at this guy, Captive Lionizer. Now this is probably the weakest in this set, just because of how I don't know, cheap his plastic feels. So compared to the original release of Lionizer, it's exactly the same mold, but the handle and head as well as the blade here is clear plastic, while on this one everything is solid plastic. Not that it doesn't look nice, it looks nice, it just feels cheap somehow for some reason. So yeah, this also comes with the swooshing effect. So while the original Lionizer has the blue one, this one has the pink one, which I guess is okay. Now transforming these guys into beast mode, just flip the lion, flip the legs and the tail. Quickly do that for this one so we can do a comparison. Okay, so again, they're the same exact molds. This has a bit more paint with the silver on the face as well as the tip of the sword or the length of the blade. This one has a little bit of gray paint there as well as the eyes and the Autobot symbol. But I don't know, this guy just feels like a KO for some reason. I don't know, just this guy. I can't wrap my head around why, but yeah, this guy feels cheap. Anyway, so that's him. Let's have a look at Megs here. So let me just put these guys to the side. So this, he doesn't come with a blast effect. This blast effect is part of the one that came with Omega Supreme, but I think it looks cool on him. I just like how that looks. But if you're a fan of the original G1, while this one is small, I think this one fits more, just because his fusion cannon blast is pink in the original cartoon. And the swooshing effect also works with his sword. So there's two tabbing points, one there and one, let me just remove the sword. One there and one at the tip, so you can actually attach that there. Looks pretty puny. You know, what can you do? If you have two of them, you can do it. like that. Again, I don't know how much better that is. Um, this also works with like Tyraxodon's one as well. So if you have Tyraxodon's one, you can make it work as well. So just attach that to the other side. Well, that looks like more an impact blast than a swoosh, but no, it works. Now, so since we're here, let's take a look at the sword. So this sword is basically the same one that we've been getting with the other versions of Megatron. So let me just bring this guy in the picture so we can do a full comparison. Now I also have the original Siege release, but how I put it, it's, let me see. No, I don't know if it's. No, I'll just quickly get it. Okay. So here's the other one. Now mine does have some repro labels, so it's a bit different. But you know, the repro labels doesn't make him look nice now. I think I might just remove the repro labels at this point. But let's show you a comparison of the three blades side by side. So original one with repro labels. This one comes with the animated Megatron, and this one comes with the new Megatron. So as you can see, they're the exact same molding, and there's no mold difference. The only difference would be the paint. So there's a lot more paint on this one, and that's not because of the repro labels. It's just the base of it has a lot of paint. So as you can see, that base gun has a lot more paint. So comparing it to these guys, this one is pretty bare, though it does have the cell shading look there. This guy also has some pseudo battle damage slash paint as well. But yeah, so as you can see, this guy has a lot more paint, the original one, followed by this one, which is the new Megatron, and then lastly the cell shaded one. And then their blades are just made in this base plastic. So we'll talk about Megatron's gray when we go to Megatron, but this one is molded in the same gray as this guy. This one is molded in the same white as that Megatron, and this one is molded in the same lighter gray they used for the Siege Megatron. Now all those silver, they're repro labels. Okay, taking a look at the fusion cannons, let's just remove them so we can do a comparison. Let me just lie down for now. Lie down for now, Megatron. Okay. So this is the one that came with the original release. So that red there, and those are repro labels. This is the one that came with the animated colors. So lots of cell shading. I didn't really like the cell shading on the cannon. Maybe I would have preferred the black, base black for that guy, but you know, this is what we got. And this is what the one from the new Megatron. So it does have same cell shaded pseudo thing, silver there. So yeah. Now, since it's shown in the packaging, I'll show it to you briefly. They do combine into a no longer fusion cannon. I mean, I won't display him with this, but no, since it's displayed as a play feature in the instructions, you know, you can do that. It's daft, but you can. So yeah, it's, I don't know why it's featured in the instructions. It is here. Where is it? There. But yeah, it's just too big and too cumbersome, I think. Nice instructions, by the way. Okay, so let's just stand them up together so we can do a good side by side of these three. Megatron without cannon. And this guy. So here are the three Megatrons side by side. Not you. Just center these guys. Okay. Now this one does have repro labels. Look at the sheen on the chest. This guy, that guy's really nice looking, if you ask me. So let's put them closer together so you can see. In truth, they're all the same exact sculpt. There's no difference whatsoever in the sculpts, but you know, it's the paint that differentiates them. So definitely cell shaded look, definitely a flatter gray. This guy, the effect of the paint makes it look like it's cell shaded. So if you look at the head, for example, you can see it. I'm looking at the viewfinder now. You can see there's separation there. And that's because they painted the lower part silver and they left that part unpainted. So I used to hate the unpainted parts, but I'm getting what they're trying to do. So it gives it the, you know, silver look, but it also gives it a bit of cell shading, which I think this is a bit more realistic, not realistic, you know, nicer looking than the cell shading on this guy. This guy's cell shading is more, what's that game? Transformers Devastation. That kind of cell shading. This guy looks, you know, it just looks different. It just looks more solid, more realistic. So look at the sheen on that guy as the light reflects it from different angles. This guy's awesome. Otherwise, they're exactly the same. This guy's just, you know, splotches all over and wobbly in all places. The joints are really loose. But yeah, this guy really trumps both of them, in my opinion. The other things that I liked is the fact that his backpack is black. So as you can see, this one's backpack is silver, while this one is white. So it does make it more visible. Makes it stand out a little bit more. So if you, for example, if I use the darker background, right, you'll see it stands out. But this one, it gives Megatron a cleaner silhouette, if you ask me. I mean, it's still there, you can still see it, but you know, it just brings out the silhouette of Megatron having those backpack pylons in a different color. Now we've seen this guy and this guy before, so let's have a close-up of this guy's detail. So the head is really awesome. Let's see, I really like how the light reflects on this guy, and having the paint not solid gives him a little bit more depth. I think it's really nice. I didn't even notice before that, you know, the arms are not symmetrical. A lot of the detail you can see now with the silver paint, which is nice. Because the worst part of this guy is still the splotchy crotch. I don't know why they chose to make it that way. Would have preferred to make it this same way, where there's black and there's just silver. But what can you do? You've seen this guy. The profile looks a bit cleaner as well, just because the different color. Not that this is bad, but you know, this makes the profile a little bit more cleaner. Let's just put this guy so it's not left out. There you go. His knees are very wobbly. From the back, you know, again, very clean. In the silver is what's making it look nice. terms of articulation, you've seen it, but I'll do it anyway. So you can turn this head all the way around. Can go. You can look up and down, no side to side. That is on a swivel, so you can make it look deeper and raise it a little bit, and then on the side doesn't look that bad. So you can use that at certain camera angles. This shoulders can go all the way out, all the way around. The swivel is on this point, right above the elbow. Elbow is at 90 degrees. No wrist swivel. I wish they would have done the wrist swivel similar to how they did it on Double Dealer and Hot Lake, where you can still twist it. What can you do? This fusion cannon, of course, can move around. It's just pegged on the peg hole there. Waist joint. Legs that go forward, back, to the side. 90 degrees on the knee, and the pivot here is actually a lot tighter than the other two versions as well. The only thing it can't do is lock on an angle, so it goes straight. And just to let you know what I mean is, if you look at both of these guys, I actually don't set them with their feet flat on the ground, just because they have a better stature. With this guy, since it's flat at the back, oop, domino effect. See, loose knees. With this guy, he always feels like he's leaning about a couple of degrees to the back, so I actually have to have him leaning forward a little bit. It's not too bad. And most of the time I have these guys in dynamic poses anyway, so yeah. But in terms of like stoic poses, I prefer to have the feet slightly, at the heel is slight an angle like that, just because if it's flat, it looks like he's leaning to the back. That's just how the angle of the foot on the base of the leg is. Okay. Transformation. This is gonna be pretty easy. You've seen this before, so you can fast forward if you don't want to see it. But first thing you do is twist the fusion cannons. Flip the hand in. Oh, the other thing that I didn't like, and it's the same in the entire on the other two molds, is how it moves freely that way and then it locks. Then you have to lock it there, so it's locked there, and then free, and you lose a little bit of the angle there, and it's not too bad, but something to note. So straighten out the arms, flip that up to hide the what do you call that, on the gun mode that he doesn't have. What do we do next? Okay, the legs. So the legs, you angle to the side. There's this hinge there. You open that up. There's a hinge there. So you position his leg in that way. And what you do is you rotate there and rotate on this joint at the same time. So rotate, and it will flip up. There you go. And then cover it back up. And then there's a slot there for that peg. Before you do that, let's just twist it on the side, on the waist. Now you lock that in place. And then the feet, just close it up. Lock it to the side. And go down. Let's do the same on the other side. So go. Then rotate in conjunction with each other. Close that out. Close close that up, close it. So that's the legs. Now for the top part, this is where it gets a bit tricky, just because of the clearances. It's not hard, but you know, you get used to it after a couple of times. So unpeg the arms, so those just friction under there. Go. And then rotate this up, while at the same time rotating these together. And then open this up. Okay, now you peg the other side of the cannon on the other hole on the other hand, locking that. Now this bit can be a bit tricky, so the intention is to have this side flush into that crevice there. So what you have to do is, again, clearances. I'd be careful because I don't want to scratch the silver paint. So just, okay, and then push it down. There you go. See, it's flush there. And then cover his face with this panel. It won't totally cover it. And there's some slots there for those pegs there. So close that up. There you go. The last bit is you take his sword, open it up there, and rotate these up. So easier if you move them together. They move independently, but it's easier if you move them together. Position it that way. And then you just squeeze this into that gap there and peg this into the fusion cannon. Now make sure everything is neat. There you go. There is Megatron in his awesome hover tank mode. So let me transform this guy. And let me transform this guy. Oops, I need that as well. Okay, so here are the three tanks. Oops, sorry. In their converted vehicle modes, and I don't know, for all intents and purposes, they all look really nice. But again, look at how the light shines on this guy. It's crazy how a little bit of lighting can make a figure look really nice. Let's take a look at each of them side by side, right? So this is the Siege one with all the repro labels. I like that P38 sticker there. So yeah, I mean, in vehicle mode, I'd say they're all a bit at par to each other. I mean, don't really keep these things in vehicle mode anyway, but you know, they're all nice. This one looks a little bit nicer, definitely. This one retains the cell shaded look, but this one looks odd with the white front and the black back part. So yeah, I think in that regard, this one looks nicer than this. I mean, but the plain black cannon looks a little bit better on this guy though. Just makes it a little bit more realistic in that sense. As realistic as a hover tank can be, I guess. Closer look at this guy. So a lot of the silver is lost here though, because this is the only silver part. The rest is on that plain plastic. Well, there is a little bit showing there at the top as well. But yeah, so it's not as much silver as the other modes. Still looks good though. And the end of the cannon does support blast effects as well. So you can have him firing the big ballistic blast or pink laser blast that he usually fires. Really nice. So what do you guys think? I don't know. I used to think and I didn't need any more versions of this Megatron just because I like how this guy looks. But at this point, seeing them side by side, this guy will go straight into my video game shelf. So it's gonna be my Transformers Devastation Megatron. This guy will come to my Siege shelf. He might even have the honor of being my, War for Cybertron Megatron. I've seen the Earthrise one, but it just looks like a heavy remold of this, and the only benefit of that over this guy, I think, is that it has rolling threads, meaning it has an Earth mode tank. Then again, this is Megatron. Unlike the Autobots, the Decepticons don't really need to hide or get in disguises, right? So yeah, we'll see. We'll see when it comes out. I'll decide then whether I want to get it or not. For now, I'm really happy with how this looks. Yeah, it might be my default Megatron, at least for the foreseeable future. Okay, why is it not closing? There you go. I'm gonna finish this up so we can finish the review. There you go. Oop. There you go. And just as a parting shot, let me show you this guy with cell shaded Optimus. So again, they don't look like they do fit together, just because this is more cartoony, the other one is not. But if I put in here Earthrise, I also have a Siege Prime, but mine is completely covered with repro labels, and I'm thinking of removing them actually. But just to give you a good look of these two side by side, I think they do look nice together. This version of Prime and this version of Megatron specifically, they look really good together. What can I say? In this regard, if you're on the hunt for a Megatron and you have these three as options, I'd say get this one. Especially if they're the same price point. I mean, if you're in Manila and the price point is that wide, then you might opt to choose either that one or that one over this one. But still, I'd push to get this one just because of how awesome his deco looks. It just looks very premium in that regard. So yeah, that's it. That's the review. So if you like that review, then leave a like, leave a comment, and do subscribe. This has been the Netflix Siege Megatron, and this has been Grimtrigger. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.